my role at Fusion5 is I'm the Industry Director for Supply Chain Management and Commerce. And my colleague who will be helping me during this demo is Paul Hutchins, who's the Industry Director for Manufacturing. So we'll be covering off the finance and operations piece. During this process, this is an agenda that we're going to cover off. But if you wouldn't mind getting your phones out and scan this QR code. So throughout the actual session today, not in my session, but later on, there will be some questions and things happening relating to what you're going to fill out in this form that will be used for the demo. So in my session today, I'm going to introduce you to Dynamics Commerce, and then I'm going to cover Microsoft Clarity, the Microsoft Site Builder, which is actually the management tool for commerce, and then we're going to have a jump into finance and operations. Then I'm going to hand it over to Paul Hutchins, who's going to run through some manufacturing functions. And then we're going to come back and I'm going to do advanced warehousing, and then I'm going to show you the ISV called Route Control. This whole process will be an end-to-end solution, you'll see. So there will be another opportunity if you don't get a chance to scan the QR code. There will be one in my session. So the story is that Fusion5 has bought a robotics division, and we are now making robotic arms and bits and pieces to do with robotics. We've also got an online B2B portal that we're going to demonstrate today to help sell our products and get it out into the marketplace. Fusion5 are going to introduce what we call a B2B portal that is a rapid deployment portal that we've created to support the market. Now, we're also then going to put the order onto a truck, and we're going to send the truck out to deliver that product and then get a sign-on glass, POD, and return it back into D365. And we're going to complete the whole process. Part of this process too, though, is that we're going to show you is that we've partnered with Stark Industries and USR Robots. And if you know your movies, you'll know who I'm talking about. They have a very high level of security required. So during this demo that I'm going to do today, I'm actually going to break a few rules when it comes to F&O, and yeah, it will be referenced later on in the sessions later on. It's a very much a hands-on demo that I'm going to provide today, and I welcome any questions if you have anything. It's a small crowd, so yeah, feel free to ask any questions. If I can get this to work, that might be a good start, eh? And I'll just make that a bit bigger. Actually, I will just change a couple of things here for a minute. It's the old story, the display has gone and switched over to 2 displays instead of being a duplicate. Right, that's better. So commerce has 2 flavors. In the finance and operations Microsoft Dynamics Commerce, we have 2 flavors. We have what we call B2B and B2C. Now, B2B, business to business commerce, is all about servicing your customers, your existing retail customers, or your who you supply to. Whereas B2C is all about getting it out into the marketplace and offering it to the wider community, everybody, you know. And the B2C is all about being found through your likes of your social media and all that sort of stuff. So Dynamics Finance and Operations has those 2 offerings. What I'm going to show you today is a B2B platform. Now, B2B, we're not worried about being found through Google. It's all about securing our access, making sure that our customers log in, and then they can see what they need to see once they've logged in. So I'm going to log into this site today, and I've created an account already, and Richard's going to log in, or Rick is going to log in eventually. And the very first page that's going to come up is actually his account management page. So this page here is he's logged in, and he can see all of his account details here, and he can see his delivery addresses, He can see his outstanding invoices. He can see his last orders that were made from this site. So this is his landing page where he can manage his account. He can even go and pay his invoices if he wanted to, and I'll show you that in a second. But what we'll do first is we'll get an order placed, because we're actually going to synchronize an order back into finance and operations. So in a B2B environment, you don't always want to see images like this. In a lot of cases of B2B, you just want to see the line item, what you're ordering, because you already know what you're looking at. But we can show a mix of both. And you can see here, I've actually even gone and put in the quantity of the warehouse for this operator. So he knows, he can look here and go, oh, there's 500 in the warehouse, I can order what I need. It's real-time quantity based on his warehouse, his default warehouse. So I'm going to click into the item. And you'll see here that we've also included the warehouse record up the top, and I'm going to add that to the cart. Now, I can also add other information all about the product, and everything you see here is being driven from finance and operations. It's not a separate system that we manage it. It's all being driven from the F&O back end. So I've added that item to my cart, and now what's going to happen is it's going to come up and ask me what the requested delivery date is, customer reference details, requisition. All this information flows all the way through to the sales order within finance and operations. And I'll just put in. So I'm going to save that now. It's got his delivery address. I can change that delivery address and have it delivered somewhere else. And I can add it to my account, or I can pay by credit card. So if you've got a new customer that you've brought on board and they don't have any credit account set up with you, they can be forced to pay by credit card. In this case, we've actually already got a credit account for this guy, and you can see he's got just under 100 grand left to spend. And I can apply that to the account and then place my order. Now what that's going to do is, in the background, there is an engine that's sitting in the background that's running, that's going to pick up that order and bring it through, check it all, and then create an order in finance and operations. A couple of other things that I'm going to show you about the site is under my account. I can go into view all the invoices, and I can actually select some invoices and go and pay them. So I can actually go back here, and now I can actually go to the checkout and pay by credit card and actually make a payment against my invoice. And that will flow all the way through to F&O and update the F&O environment. Is there, pardon me, any questions about what I've just shown you around commerce? It's a very basic overview of what B2B commerce is, but we can extend it to quite a lot. I've got multiple pages that we have that we can load up, and I'll show you those in a minute. Any questions before I move on to the next part? Yep.
Do you have a really built-in bank transfer option? Because lots of people like to pay by bank transfer.
Yeah, well, a bank transfer can be reconciled through F&O rather than through the commerce. But if they do that and it gets reconciled, it will reflect back into the F&O commerce environment. So once the payment's been accepted in F&O and processed, it will actually show up that the invoices have been paid. So they are linked. And even if they rang up and put an order directly with a customer service operator and didn't go through the B2B commerce, that order will reflect back in the B2B commerce, because it is one platform. So what I'm going to move on to next, unless there's more questions, is a product called Microsoft Clarity. Now, Microsoft Clarity, when you're dealing with commerce portals, be it B2C or B2B, you need to know how your commerce portal is performing. You need to understand where your customers are coming from, how it's actually working. And this is a Microsoft product that they've released. And I'll go into our site, which is here. And what this is doing is this is capturing all of the traffic on your website. And it's not only that, it's analysing what's actually going on your website and where the customers are coming from. And even to the point, if I go into my recordings, it can show that there was a user just on there just now. Well, actually it's still on there. And if I go down here, it will actually load in a second. It's a bit slow, the old internet here. While that's loading, we'll go back to our dashboard and I'll just run through a couple of areas on here. So what we've got is, there's our users that are on board, and if I go into the recording here, and hopefully it will load. It actually will show me, it records what the person did on your website, and it will show you click by click where that person's gone during the website. And obviously it's just not happening today. We also see, when people are dead clicks on the website, somebody's doing rage clicks. Now, I'm guessing that's where somebody's really clicking a lot, trying to get somewhere and it's not happening. It records that information. If you're looking at where people are coming from, there's a thing called referrers here. So depending on how they're getting there, it's really important when you're looking at B2C, where your customers are coming from, whether it's coming from Facebook or whatever marketing material you're using. We'll go back and just see if we can get this to actually load. Let's try this one. Okay, more details. There we go. And now it's going to show me what took place on this website. We'll try it again. Okay, so it's waiting for me to actually go onto the site up here and click on it and do something, because it's live view. It's showing what is actually happening on that site. So we'll just try going back to our recordings and see if we can actually get a recording. Right, let's try. So you can see there, I'm clicking on it and it's actually showing me what's actually taking place. And we'll just go back to our dashboard and try this one. It's just not going to happen today. So, we'll, if I can get it to work while we're talking, I'll come back to it, because it's quite clever what it does. From a management of this site, we do have what we call a CMS for it, and it's called Microsoft Site Builder. And this is the site builder that we use to actually create our pages for the environment. Everything to do with product related information comes from finance and operations and gets pushed through to the site, even including pricing, credit limits, all of that is managed within F&O. So it's just standard functionality from F&O. But when it comes to looking at the pages and how we manage the pages, we use this product called Site Builder.
Can it bring through ISV information where it's not out of box?
So we can create that reference through, and we have done that. And those fields that you saw on that when I created the order, we've actually created those and created the API calls so that they go push through and backwards and forwards. So this is the page site manager, and I'm just going to increase my visibility a bit. And I'm just going to go into that news page. And this is how easy it is to manage a page within the commerce. You will see that that will load up in a second. Unfortunately, the internet is quite slow. So here's our page. That's what we showed up here before. Here it is here, and I want to make some changes to this. This is my news banner. I'm going to go and change this image, and I can go down here, select my image, and I can just go and pick. Okay, and now I've just changed my page, and I don't want to change my main site yet, so my main site is still sitting there as it was before. I can preview it as to what it would look like. Okay, so this is a preview of it, so I can now see what it would look like, and this is my team having a bit of a laugh and doing some changes. And I can now copy this URL, send it to a colleague of mine and say, hey, what do you think of this? Is this right? Are we good? And they might go, yep, absolutely. And it's as simple as going back here, saving it. And I still haven't published it. It's still just sitting there as a new page. And then I can just go publish. And as soon as I hit publish, that will now update the site with that new changes that I've made. So it's that easy. And that's just an example. And we can build multiple pages. We can even load iframes. If you know anything about web development, we can load an iframe. And within that iframe, we can actually include external content into that site. So I will just jump back here and see if it has actually loaded. There we go.
So in terms of brand consistency,
Yep.
can it integrate with the WordPress website that we've already got?
You could load a WordPress site into an iframe, you could, but I'm not sure why you would do that. I'd be more inclined to say that if your primary site is a WordPress site, then you would have a link going off to the commerce portal. And you would reduce the site down to a very bare just commerce portal page.
Right.
One of the good things about Dynamics Commerce is it uses the Azure authentication. So everything's managed outside of finance and operations and commerce into the Azure security portal. So
Yeah, I was just thinking a lot of the information about the product is in F&O.
yep.
And we're kind of replicating on our website. It would be good not to be doing the
Yeah,
replication.
yeah. So what this recording, what I'm just showing you here, so we're talking about Copilot that you'll see a bit more about later on. What this has just done is this is using Copilot, and it's gone and had a look at the activity that took place on the website and given us a brief summary of what the person did. So it's actually quite clever, and it shows, you know, look, they only were on the site for 11 seconds, so very quick. So is there any other questions about this before I move on to the next piece? Sure.
I presume if it's watching the site movement, you can trigger a chatbot to say it looks like you're struggling with
100%, yep. And in actual fact, and I will take the time to show you, in this item here, I have actually loaded a chatbot. So, and this chatbot is, at the moment, it's just going to a virtual agent, and the virtual agent is just saying, you know, looking for some triggers, some triggers that are happening in the conversation, and they will then, it can link off to a CRM afterwards. So at a certain point where, you know, they can't get what they're getting or they need more information from a person, it can actually trigger that. So I actually haven't shown this demonstration of this to anybody in the Roadshow because we were hoping to get it hooked up to a proper CRM. And also I've done a bit of tongue-in-cheek in there with some of the questions that I've put in there, but yeah. But yes, it can have a chatbot. Yep. Okay, so what we'll do now is we're going to jump into finance and operations. And that order that we did earlier has synchronized into finance and operations because I've actually set it up that when it receives into Dynamics, it sends me a text message. And I can actually even send that text message out to the person that created the order from the website. And I'll just go in here to all sales orders. And there's our order that we just created. And one of the things I'm going to just quickly talk about is in finance and operations, see these two fields here, reserved and on order. So Fusion5 found that there was a need for what we call some sales order tools, or sales management tools we call them. And it's essentially to show whether an order has actually got a fully reserved stock when it's created from the sales order line level. Normally, you have to go up into general and then into inquiries and look to see whether it's actually reserved the stock. So what we've done is we've created these tools and we've brought it down and we can show whether it's on reserve or whether it's on order as soon as the sales order's been created. The other thing that we've done is when you're dealing with the likes of, in Australia especially, the Coles and Woolworths of the world, they don't accept back orders. So when an order comes in and you have an order for a quantity of say 50 and you can only supply say 25, they will not accept the remaining 25 as a back order. They will accept whatever you can supply based on their order, and they expect you to cancel the remainder and they'll just reorder again. So that's actually quite a task when it comes to finance and operations. So what we've done is we've created these tools that will run in the background and it will cancel the deliver remainder once an order has been released to a warehouse. What that does though is it keeps your original order quantity at the 50 because you can use that for your demand forecasting. Because you want to know that there was a demand for 50, I could only fulfill 25. Next time, when I manufacture some more product, I'm going to create more. So it's a sales order tools that we sell. It's a product that can be installed into F&O and it can be found on the app source. So now I'm going to go and break some rules. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into our accounts payable vendors, and I'm going to go and change the bank account details on one of our vendors. And normally that would be okay, if they've got permission to do it, but I'm actually going to do something. I'm going to change it to my own personal account. So next time somebody pays an invoice for these guys, it will go into my bank account. I wish. So I'm going to select that account and I'm going to save it. And you'll see later on in the session what will actually happen, how they'll know that. The other thing I'm going to do, which you really don't want to have happen, is I'm going to go into my customer list and I'm going to export the customer list out and email it to myself. And once again, you really don't want a staff member doing this because that's your customer list. Because this is how easy it is, as you can just see. And there you go. I've just emailed the customer list to myself. And you'll see later on how that can be prevented. So what I'm going to do now is hand over to Paul, and he'll run through some manufacturing side of it. And then I'll come back shortly and go through the actual remaining piece, advanced warehousing and so on.